Hello and welcome back to Tears Don't Fall, the show where we subject one another to a band's entire discography. We then present you, the viewers, with our subjective opinions, and you'll vote on which one you think is the objectively correct one ranking for a band's entire discography.
Oh yeah.
Now,
Excited.
I won the Slipknot one.
You're keeping the throne warm for me is what you're doing.
I'm keeping the belt warm and stinky for you, my dude. Smells like Iowa. Smells like potatoes and clown masks, dude. I know, it's unpleasant.
Oh, it makes the eyes water.
It's made the room very musky for the last few weeks. But we're back. We're on Australian soil, or sand, as it were.
Yes, for the first
Take us
time.
through.
All right, babies. We are hitting Parkway Drive.
Yeah.
We're going to the surf capital of Australia. We're going to Byron Bay.
Mm-hmm.
So,
would you be my Byron Bay?
oh, baby, any day. Now, so how's it
These
hanging,
jokes.
grommets? We'll keep up this vague surf bit for the whole fucking thing until we get sick of it, which might be in about 30
That's
seconds.
That's honestly the extent of my Australian surf slang knowledge. I'm tapped already, dude.
That's
I'm
right. These guys know anyway. You've been surfing the web all day, haven't you? So
yes.
thanks for grabbing some air with us at Tunes TV.
Christ.
We can keep it going. So let's get some gnarly airtime with Parkway Drive, baby.
That's it. So, do you want to tell us a bit about your history with this band? And I'm keen to hear the people in chat's history with this band. Because again, homegrown heroes.
Yes, yeah, truly. And just down the coast.
Put this over
we are from Victoria. It's a fair distance away from Byron Bay, even though Australia is a big place. So. It didn't take too long for Word of Parkway Drive to head down the coast and hit my school ground. Really, I would have been in year 9, year 10 when everyone was starting to buzz on Parkway, and at the time I wasn't that familiar. I didn't even like any metal beyond the year 2000. I was really stuck in the old school stuff. And that was like where I thought I'd stay forever. I was like, oh no, look at these trendy bands hopping onto this like post 2000s metal revival. Nah, keep it dead. And I begrudgingly hopped onto YouTube when it was still new and novel. All things exciting. And there was a video for Smoke 'Em If You Got 'Em, which was off their first album, Killing With a Smile. I had that on repeat, and I would hate fuck it. I did not get it. I did not understand what was happening to music. I was, oh god, I couldn't get my head around the production. It really challenged my conception of what metal should be or could be. It was my very first modern metal single that I spent a lot of time with, and which was eventually my first modern metal record. Once I took the deep dive and, like, out of spite, tried to learn the song.
Wow.
It was my first time drop tuning.
You're like,
and
I didn't know I could go this low.
Yeah, truly. And I fell in love with the song after having it on repeat and just fueling that fire of misunderstanding.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So it was really interesting. I'll never forget having Parkway on night in, night out, and just trying to understand why the damn kick's so loud. What are they gonna scream for?
What are they yelling about?
Yeah, why aren't they doing falsetto? It's a
falsies or die.
Yeah. That was my experience with them.
Cool.
And then I'll talk about more of my experience beyond that once we get through the album.
Yeah, sure. My initial experience with Parkway was kind of similar in that I fucking didn't get it, dude.
Interesting.
I was in year 11, and I remember I was talking to someone in class, and they were like, oh, you should check out Parkway Drive. You like heavy metal, you should check out Parkway Drive. And I looked them up, and I watched, the first thing I saw from them was their video for Boneyards. And and it honestly shocked me. Like, I was listening to heavy stuff, or I'd gotten into, we talked about Slipknot last week, and I'd kind of gotten into their music because and my initial impression of them was that this is music that will scare the people who scare me. It's outside of music. And I think what put me off, it's very, very petty, but I had this with a lot of metalcore bands of the time. You look at them, they're surfy dudes. They look like the kids who would have been making fun of me for listening to Slipknot. And I really resented. I really resented that.
Right. Interesting.
So in terms of the look, it just didn't gel. It didn't gel with me.
There was definitely a visual clash for me as well. It was like too true and too gatekeepy.
Yeah, totally. And then in terms of the music itself, I remember my first impression being, this is like the elements of Killswitch Engage that I kind of like the least for 3.5 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
Real distinct lack of melodic vocal hooks. And it just made it kind of impenetrable for me. For really until their third album came out, until Deep Blue came out, I wouldn't have called myself a fan at all.
Interesting.
I really just dismissed them as not for me. And probably dismissed anybody who rated them as a favorite band as well. Definitely had an elitist streak at that point in my life. But when Deep Blue came out,
in a way.
absolutely, and the fact that we can laugh about this shit later on.
Yeah, totally. Saving
comparing metal elitist stories is so much fun. But when Deep Blue came out, a friend of mine who I'd been sharing bands like Lamb of God and Devil Driver and Shadows Fall with picked it up and brought it to a friend's place where we were hanging out, chucked it on the stereo, and I was really grabbed by it and kind of was on board, very tentatively on board from then on.
Right.
And my journey with them has been a good one since then, and I'm excited to get into that. And I'm excited to hear everyone else's experience and journey with it. I'm going to take these up because it's fucking hard to read screens.
That's fair.
When
and the hat
like
comes off as well.
The hat comes off as well because otherwise I just look like someone's dad in a fucking cover band.
All right, the bit. Let's do it for the bit.
Let's have a look. Who's got some stories about Parkway Drive? Dex says, after Slipknot, cons refused to clean the smell of terrorist sweat just for today. Ethan says, 4 surfer teens pick up a smelly boomer and teach them how to riff. Meet Parkway Drive. Oh, cool.
Or Trigger.
One of the first heavy bands I really got into after Metallica showed me the genre. My older brother mainly showed them to me, and I fell in love, says Ritz. Fuck yeah, dude.
Nice.
Adam says, I hovered around the periphery of Parkway until Ethan beat me into submission and I got on board with Aya. Righto. Ethan says, funnily enough, that's most people's stories about getting into them with me around. Very nice. Jordal, Atlas was my first Parkway, but Aya's easily my favourite. Awesome. Geordie says, never heard of them, but that's just me in general. Hey, hopefully you hear something tonight that you like and this maybe gets you into...
Yeah, maybe word only went down the coast.
Yeah. Beza says, I know of them, but have never listened to anything of theirs. So, again, maybe you'll find something to get into tonight. But let's have a look. Ethan says, told this a million times.
Illustrated history.
Yeah. Told this a million times, but they were my first gig ever. Parkway, Architects, August Burns Red. They were all young, playing in an indoor basketball court. Then made sure to see them every year up until 2013 when they stopped touring Australia yearly. Wow, dude, that's really cool.
I was really surprised by this. I was looking at their annual tour cycling.
Yep.
Around 2013, they ended up touring Germany and the US as their 2 focuses, which obviously paid off for them. And they've been doing so. They've been touring Germany every year since 2006. I don't think they even missed a year.
Wow.
Where they didn't go to Germany since.
Gutsy as, dude.
Yeah, 2006 or 2007.
I
which
really
is
like...
remarkable.
Yeah, I went and watched the documentary Viva the Underdogs that they put out somewhat recently, and that was a real thrill to watch, but it comes up, a lot of the stuff they say in that comes up in interviews and people talking about this band. A lot of their practices and things that they did to kind of get themselves out there were things that weren't really done by Australian bands. Like buying just a world trip ticket and going, all right, we're booking a world tour.
Yeah, or recording all of your records offshore.
Yeah.
Very uncommon for Australian artists.
Yeah. We got some more stories here. Brandon, how you doing, dude? Says, I went through a side of Parkway in high school, but never really got into them. Had a good thought about Deep Blue. In the last 2 years, I really started to explore them more, and they just fucking hit. Now, easily one of my favorite bands, and to death now. Awesome.
I'm so sorry to hear that. No, we'll see.
Yeah. Shall we get into it, dude? Punch that gamer fuel.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, dude, and let's do it. Take us into the first album, my dude.
Absolutely. All right. With a great hurrah, let's hit up Killing with a Smile. Now, this is Parkway's not their first release, but it's still their debut album. They had a record called Don't Close My Eyes. Or was it Don't Close Your Eyes?
Don't close your eyes.
Close your eyes.
Don't close your
I'll close
eyes.
my eyes.
Yeah.
Sorry. Great start. Jesus Christ, Luke. Now, I'm very glad that they chose not to go with Don't Close Your Eyes as their first studio album and treated that as a testing ground.
Yep.
Because the difference between this album and their independent release is night and day. It's really good that they shook those cobwebs off, those initial songwriting cobwebs off.
Yeah.
Found a more cohesive and, I guess, marketable direction, perhaps, and went with that because you've got to do it somehow. You've got to take that initial stretch, and it's great that, similar to Pantera in a way, or a band, where you can start your career off with some experience under your belt. So,
something under your belt to at least go, we know what we don't want to do,
Now, I did share an anecdote about this album earlier with Smoke 'Em If You've Got 'Em, and then eventually the whole album. So combining that with the power of jaded hindsight upon revisiting leaves us with a big old B for the Byron Bay Boys, baby. Oops, sorry, baby.
That's okay.
This record is surprising to me for a few reasons. Firstly, I didn't realize that Adam D engineered their first two albums.
I know, right?
Isn't that fucking nuts, dude?
Fuck me dead.
And, being a metalcore artist and getting in 2005 he would have been one of the greatest metalcore engineers in the game. He'd be top 3 at that point in time.
Granddaddy of I guess
this is the guitar from Kill Switch.
Metalcore, we've talked about this before, but metalcore has evolved as a term so many times, in our lifetime. But for this kind of iteration of what metalcore was, fucking hell, Adam D is
we're talking the Godfather. Absolutely. I'm green with envy. What an opportunity to have.
And especially this being on the back of Alive Just Breathing and A Heartache.
Huge getting
name,
the Kingpin.
Huge name to have.
Absolutely.
On your album.
For a debut. And they don't squander the opportunity either. I think this is, as far as debuts go, this is an excellent release. And something else that surprised me was that it predates many of its peers. Which made me realize that it's far less derivative than I had anticipated. It is absolutely packed with mid-2000s hallmarks and cliches, but my wincing is mainly contained to the pit calls rather than the song structures or the tropes. I feel like they play with overusing them, but don't quite cross that line. And it gives, if not an air of originality, at least a unique identifier for the band. Which is great to have that off the bat, especially in this style where there are so many just sort of trendy clones and replicas around this time. So it's pretty impressive. But those fucking pit calls. Oh God, I don't know how you feel about it. They drive me crazy. High time, I'm like, oh God,
look, some of them I'm like, yeah, that's tough, and some of them I'm like, hey,
that so cry me a fucking river, bitch. So sassy, sassy Winston, dude. Holy shit.
Yeah, I miss sassy Winston. Bring sassy Winston
Everything
back.
You love fucking dies, Cole. God damn it. They're all in some of my favorite songs off the record as well. They're just wish it. Oh well. They were the big songs for a reason. Exactly. I don't want to look back at my own early work, let alone someone else's. So I can't blame them too hard. I find the pacing is fairly on again, off again, track to track here. But the back 15 minutes of this album is fucking napalm, dude. It is hot. It's hard to speak without a tongue. Into Mutiny, into Smoke 'Em If You Got 'Em, into Cold Day in Hell is just a mammoth closer for a debut release. And that alone has kept me coming back for over 10 years.
Wow.
I find it's a pretty monumental album in Australian metal.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are your thoughts?
I share a lot of those thoughts, a lot of those sentiments. I think it's a really, and this was something that I didn't realize either, that it predates a lot of the more derivative kind of clones in this genre. So it kind of gives the songs a sense of authenticity. That despite the kind of the cringy, slightly cringy pit calls, and the fact that I find a lot of it hard to recall outside of those cringy pit calls.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I like putting this album on as like a genuinely good time capsule of this kind of metalcore.
Yeah.
I think it's it's a great example of what this subgenre had to offer before every cunt and their dog got their hands on it and started doing what we're hearing right now. Doing Smoke 'Em If You Got 'Em.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, this predates The Poison. This predates Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah.
Predates
so all of the, it's got all
My
these,
Valentine.
especially within their breakdowns, it's got these kind of it's littered with these tropes that shit me in their contemporaries, but they weren't tropes at the time. And so they're not performed.
Never developing to be so. Yeah,
they're not performed in a way that feels disingenuous or like a superficial kind of heavy. It feels really. It's got this energy and this drive to it that I find really compelling. Even if I don't recall a lot of it afterwards, I really enjoy my time with this album. So I place it at a C.
Okay.
Would happily go back to it, and we'll continue to go back to it every now and then, and maybe it'll pivot to a B eventually. But at time of recording, I have a fondness for it in hindsight as a kind of time capsule, but don't really have any kind of deep-seated nostalgia. Didn't spend any time with this album when it was relevant. So it's kind of hard for me to
have that
relationship or that attachment with this album.
I honestly expected to rank it higher. I'm surprised that I put it down to a B. I thought this album had F potential for me.
Really?
Going into this week. I did.
Goddamn.
But power of hindsight, I suppose.
Yeah, sure.
Or what is to come sort of keeps it down on the list as well.
I think that too. I think, dude, I would say it's in terms of its sheer ferocity and the energy that they bring, it rivals Slipknot's debut. I think it's, as far as debut albums go, fucking hell.
So I feel very, very differently about Parkway's a tough guy aesthetic. Like they feel like they present tough, but it doesn't come across as such to me. It's like you can't possibly be tough. You're too happy-go-lucky to really sell the tough guy aesthetic. Even though they'll do big breakdowns, pit calls, the music will be so heavy, and they'll be going for a tough line. But it either just falls into either the cool or cringe category instead for me.
Sure.
Yeah. That being said, on this album, Mutiny, I still think is one of their heaviest songs in their catalog. But I think that's nostalgia speaking as well.
Okay.
Really, really, really fucking fun album.
All right. Well, let's see what the chat thinks. Lucas did point this out too. Winston was a guest on an episode of Spicks and Specs once. He was, and I walked past the TV when my mum was watching it and went, "That's the guy from Parkway Drive." And she was like, I don't give a fuck.
Remember when Parkway Drive was the band that toured with I Killed the Prom Queen, or did a split CD with I Killed the Prom Queen, and they were secondary to Michael. Winston was like auxiliary to Michael Crafter at that point in time. How the turntable.
The turntable.
Yeah, I was like, hey, that's the band from the Big Brother. That's the Big Brother band, you know?
Ethan says, great start, sweetie. You got this. I have faith in Luke this week. Going to be some good tears.
Oh, that's very kind of you, Ethan.
Oh, snap. I was expecting lower, he says. 20, welcome to chat, by the way. Ethan says, this album from start to finish blew me away from the first listen. I'm a sucker for pit calls. Because in the same vein as Lagerstein, there's something about it that hits harder live. Yep. I can only imagine hearing this stuff live. Give Me a D,
it does feel
Romance
built for
is
life.
Dead. It's Hard to Speak Without a Tongue, Mutiny, Smoke 'Em are some of the best tracks I recommend to people. Still hold up for me. Have been able to re-listen to this album many times. Tapping solos were a big feature from these guys. It was fun. I didn't know what that was.
So good.
Once I learned to do it, weak.
Yeah.
I think it shows like a genuine musicality, like a genuine skill that like an adeptness with their instruments that I think a lot of the bands that tried to imitate them, I felt didn't have. Like, it all came across as really fucking lame.
A lot of their cadences and their progressions are very metal-based, and I think it really helps with a translation to a metal listener rather than a core listener.
Yep, for sure.
There's a lot of heritage to be found in like Iron Maiden-style licks.
20 says, for music that isn't Tori Kelly or Shakira, it's pretty good, 8 out of 10. Good one. He killed it on Spicks and Specs too, Adam says. Excellent. Good.
Nice.
Count Your Blessings, Bring Me's first release came out in 2006, so this was definitely the album to kickstart fans of hardcore to metalcore. Havoc says, C, I agree. All right. That's
okay.
For me, baby.
Interesting.
I will say, I wanted to rate this lower. I really wanted to rate this lower, just so I could start this off by going, fuck, give me a D, you got it.
Oh, very good, got it.
Very good. Hey, what could have been? If only they weren't as fucking good.
If they were less proficient,
if they were less proficient and less enjoyable, we could have had very funny bit. But here we are. Shall we go?
Yeah, let's kick it over to Horizons.
Alrighty, album 2.
All right, album 2. It might be album 2. But it's a hang 10 out of 10, my dude. This album's out of sight. It's a S for Surf's Up.
Damn, dude.
S, my boy. This is fire. Fire. Adam D does it again in style. They've gone back over to the US. They've gone, look, it worked. We can strike lightning twice.
Yeah.
And they did. So I became a fan of Parkway on the Horizons tour cycle. But I didn't think much of this album at the time.
Sure.
I far preferred Killing with a Smile. I really thought that Killing was the superior of the two. This album has the X Factor, dude. In hindsight, this is lightning in a bottle. The opening salvo of Siren Song and Feed Them to the Pigs, to me, isn't anything too special. And I feel like this is a running theme of Parkway's discography. It feels like they always take like 6 or 7 minutes to get the ball rolling through their records. I feel the same with Killing with a Smile as well. And I don't know why. They just maybe, I don't know if I have larger expectations of them opening with strength. But it just never really hits me. That being said, it's cruel to say that about it if I'll break an album mess, but the second that Carrion's clean, chimey guitars come in, it's like I'm just on a ride for the rest of the album. The rest of the record is just hit after hit after hit. I feel like they don't miss a note. Every single track on here, I adore after that. 5 Months is fucking gorgeous. Boneyards is like the Ride the Lightning equivalent for metalcore, I feel, this album. And that being said, Boneyards is For Whom the Bell Tolls. If you are auditioning for a metalcore band, or if you're even a musician with any performative interest in metalcore, you are learning Boneyards. That is in your catalogue, and you are playing that motherfucker live at a local gig.
Oh, fuck.
It was impossible to go to an under 18 show or an all ages show. In Victoria, they were called freezer shows.
Yeah.
And not hear a really shitty version of this song. Like, it was everywhere. Yep. Even in the last 5 years, I hear bands still pulling this one out on the regular. But it's so endearing.
You're making me want to cover Boneyards. Really?
Yeah, it was like the song to have down in order to perform.
Yeah, sure.
After that, Isles and Anchors, gorgeous. Moments in Oblivion, I thought was, when going back to this, felt like a stopping point for the banger portion of the album, but then I soon leaned into Breaking Point and Dead Man's Chest. Dead Man's Chest is Mutiny 2, essentially. It's that, it's got that dude bro bravado. This time it ain't cringe. This time it hits, and it's really fucking nice. It feels.
They've graduated to bass.
No, it's It has they seem to put like around track 10 or 11 this Chimera style track every time, like this sort of groove metal or maybe more core influenced track, and it always hits on the same beat. I think this could be the greatest of them.
Cool.
It's awesome. Horizons is a wonderful finisher. It's hard not to enjoy this album, I think. If you're interested in this style. So this is when I first saw Parkway as well. Sort of, I guess, incidentally, perhaps this does leave a lot more nostalgia than I expected. Maybe I had my Killing with a Smile and Horizons mixed up mentally. But these are my first 2 times going to Billboard for under 18 shows in 2008. Went to see Parkway Drive live. Saw them the first time was June 7 with Have Heart, Antagonist, and Break Even.
Wow.
So I would have been like a sweet 16 there. And afterwards, December 20, so for Christmas, with Suicide Silence, A Day to Remember, and The Acacia Strain. Big bills. And I just remember them being absolutely killer live. And John, I really want to do this once I get out of high school. Cool. I want to be there. So they were a real driving force for me to perform live as well around this point in time.
Pisser.
Yeah. Connor, your thoughts?
My thoughts B for Horizons. But I think this could pivot to an A. I think the first 6. See, I'm kind of the opposite for you. Opposite to you on this. I feel like the first 6 tracks really keep my attention, and then after that, because there's no like melodic kind of vocals for me to kind of what do you call it? Differentiate or to make like each track feel kind of distinct. It starts to feel like just this metalcore barrage. A really well performed, well produced metalcore barrage, like the best kind of example of its genre. Really convincingly performed. I don't doubt that their hearts are in this, and I don't doubt there's a lot more for me to dig into here and to find. I was spinning it just before, giving it one more spin just before we met up to do this, and I really think it could pivot to an A for me with future listens as I get more familiar with the material. But again, similar to Killing with a Smile, I find it kind of hard to recall specific moments from this album once I'm not listening to it. I really enjoy it while I'm in the moment, but I find it hard to recall moments from it. And thinking about what comes after this and how much more it resonates with me and how much more I get out of those albums, I couldn't, in good conscience, at this point in time, put it higher than a B for my own personal enjoyment.
Right. You just wanted to make the Ball Horizons pun. I'm certain.
It's not even a pun. I just put B instead of an H. I sent it to you earlier with the little funny B emoji. It was It's garbage level pun. I should have said B for Boneyards, to be honest. But Boneyards is sick. And I think here, like, I do really value this album for the leap in terms of production. Like, Killing with a Smile doesn't sound bad by any means, but this sounds so much crisper and cleaner. Yeah,
the songwriting takes a step up.
And it sees them start to play with, I mean, Carry On, that's a very clear single, that's a very clear banger.
They still perform it in their live sets.
Exactly.
I saw them with Parkway, which is very cute. Knowing this in hindsight, that they had Adam D engineer Carry On for Parkway to headline.
Take them on tour.
And then take them on tour. So I saw that at Rod Laver Arena, which is a 10,000 capacity venue for those playing at home, and they made a circle pit of the entire pit. I'm not sure how large the Rod Laver pit is in capacity, but it is enormous. Yeah. And they turned the entire thing into a pit for Carry On.
Wow.
And the audience obeyed and thrived in it. I've never seen such a large circle pit in my life.
Yeah, awesome.
That was wonderful to experience.
Yeah.
It's so good to hear that stuff from this era is still successful on a European headliner tier set.
Yeah, totally. Honestly, I'd love to, because I've seen them perform on their most recent tour, and you're right, they play Carry On, but they don't really play anything else from this era. Fucking Boneyards wouldn't go astray, dude. Honestly.
Fuck. I was expecting
in a modern set,
for them to play Australia.
Pull it off.
I was expecting Boneyards or Smoke 'Em.
Yeah.
Which they may do again sometime. Once they have Pyro synced.
Yeah,
for it,
true.
I'm sure that comes with there's a fair fee involved to sync Pyro to a song.
Yeah. All right, let's see what chat thinks. Ethan says Horizons was the album tour I got to see them live on. Carrion was an anthem that set everyone off. Seeing them at Good Things shows how strong that song still stands. I would listen tracks off, but honestly, this whole album is a must. Give Horizons a listen if you haven't yet. This album's great, but I think they can do better.
Give it an 8.
Kind of don't give out. We're covering Boneyards. Yeah, that is a sick bill. Absolutely. B for Betrayed, says Ethan. Oh, dear. Lucas says, just remembered my brother and his friends had tickets to see Parkway like 4 years ago, had pre-drinks at home before the show and forgot about it because they drank too much.
No way!
Oh, that sucks. 4 years ago, that would have been on the Reverence tour, I think, right?
Or
it might have been on Aya, yeah. They did Idols and Anchors at Varkin. God damn, I wish they did that at Good Things. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
All right, shall we move on to...
Absolutely. Let's move on to the Deep Blue.
Deep Blue, baby.
Arr! We go on to the... We're not going to the sea.
Yeah.
We're not going to the sea with Deep Blue.
I made this joke on tunes on the game show proper, but write what you know. They're fucking just looking out at the beach going, waves. going for it.
Yeah, dude.
But to great effect. Let's continue.
Yeah. Deep Blue. We put in this one at a hearty A for able-bodied seamen. Because this album got me spurting on deck, dude.
Oh, god damn,
dude. Woo! It's good. It's good. Right.
Christ.
So for me, Deep Blue holds an honorable mention for being the only Parkway album with a sick intro.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Only album with a sick intro.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe Reverence. We'll talk about that. But definitely the best intro of their catalog. It's like that they break their rule of the 7-minute warm up.
Sure.
Which is really nice. So this is one of the nicest metalcore mixes in the game for me.
Yeah.
Where somehow, so the guy's name was Joe Barresi. Manages to, Joe Barresi, absolutely nails this mix. It's hard not to love it just for how clean and crisp everything is and how defined everything is. I don't know how you improve on Adam D's game here on his home turf, but damn, they did it. It's really impressive. This is definitely one of their most consistent efforts in terms of the track flow.
Yep.
And the consistency. It doesn't have much of an off again, on again, or like a chunk of tracks that work and then others that sort of sleep. I feel like it just has a really nice flow.
Yeah, doesn't really lacks filler.
Yeah. Karma's huge. Sleepwalker is probably one of the best songs in their catalog. For a catch-all, I think there wouldn't be many Parkway fans that wouldn't agree that Sleepwalker is a remarkable track. Dead Weight's tough as nails. Homers for the Heartless is gorgeous. And Leviathan I, once again, really, really pretty song.
Pretty.
Yeah. Okay, maybe not.
Not how I would describe it. Not how I would describe it.
So tough.
Tough.
Yeah.
That's more what I'm thinking.
I really rate this album. I did hop off Parkway when this came out. I was out of high school. I was onto more of a metal bent, and I had Killing with a Smile in my pocket, and I was sort of happy with that. So
sure.
So Parkway Drive went into the background for me from here on out. And they just sort of, I guess their journey continued. I'd see the singles, and I never explored the album. So this is my first time going through this one with a fine-tooth comb. And very glad I did. Possibly the coolest thing for me to find in this catalog.
Cool. Well,
as an album.
That's awesome.
Because
I do.
But I sort of was expecting as such as well.
You were? Okay, well that's good. I'm glad your expectations were met, because I do remember talking to you about this album and you mentioning that it was the one that you kind of fell off with them for, or not for any reason. For the album itself, just happened to.
I just got really into groove metal for a while. The metalcore thing I felt expired.
Sure.
But I think they've always adapted, and they've always grown. This shows that they're slowly maturing.
Very much so.
But slowly.
Yeah.
Slowly.
Yeah. I agree with basically everything you've said there. I also rate this an A. I think the way this album flows, the track listing is really fucking tight, which I don't often feel that way for an album that has more than like 11 tracks. Usually I'm usually very much in favor of like culling for a lean 40 or so minutes, but this is 43 minutes.
They are very fast songs as well.
Yeah, true.
All of these albums up to this point, I think, have been pretty snappy, like 38 to 42 minutes.
Yeah. This album's kind of bookended by two quite quick fire tracks in the intro, Samsara, and then Set to Destroy to kind of see the album out. But Leviathan I think serves as the real album closer, and then Set to Destroy is just this final like kind of fuck you. It feels very much. I think this album, the reason this album resonated with me more than the metalcore or the stuff that came before it, I think, is all of the twin guitar stuff didn't really do much for me on those two albums, and still kind of doesn't. I'm kind of like, wow, cool. Whereas this feels like it's got more of a focus on like really groovy, chunky breakdowns, and the riffs feel kind of stripped back, but in a way that they do more with it. That feels like it's taken a less is more approach, and I think they implement this more and more as they go on, ever so gradually. But I think it's always to their benefit. Here I think it's got a really nice kind of. This is the best middle ground between where they go and where they start off, and like I think it has this like kind of hate breed quality to it that just makes me want to drag my knuckles and throw down. I fucking love this shit. This chorus for Leviathan I, the "Show me war, show me pestilence." Oh god,
Winston has remarkable lyrics.
I think his lyrics, especially, I think they start to.
They're not like super clever.
Well, they move out of slightly cringy territory, I think, on Horizons, and there's some there feels like there's some genuine, really like nice turn of phrases in like Carry On and stuff, and then here it feels like the whole thing there's a sense of poetry to this whole album, like the artwork, the production, the way it's paced, it all feels really cohesive and in service of a greater whole. And I think it shows you said maturity. I think it absolutely shows on this. It's fucking awesome. I really rate this album, and I think it's for me. I wouldn't say it's all uphill from here, but from here on out, I'm on board.
Sure.
Really, really fucking on board.
Sure.
For better or worse.
Sweet.
Chat, what do you think of this album? I want to see. Ethan has ducked out. All right. Enjoy watching the upload. I'm sure we will get flooded with corrections on our picks after the fact. I hope so anyway. Rid says the Karma vid is the best video they'll ever make. Really? Oh, I think they've always had really cool videos.
It always elicits a laugh from me, the Karma video.
Yeah, it's cute.
It's Karma's such a tough track, and they're just clearly having so much fun with whatever they do.
Yeah, awesome. Geordie says, as currently Luke is persuading like Car from the Jungle Book with his explanations. Yeah. Trust in Riff, dude. All right, well, shall we move on to the fourth record?
Certainly. All right.
This.
Yep, so we're going from Deep Blue, and emerging out of the Deep Blue, we have 2012's Atlas. Unfortunately, I am giving this one a kiss and tossing it back into the sea. There's been such a metered and clear and defined growth from Parkway up to this point. I feel like each album has taken like a sort of an equivalent step forward in their production, in their songwriting, in their understanding of how to use space, is a really big one. Where they're always trying to fill the sound and fill the space in their opening albums, and each time they gain a greater respect for resting. It's about the notes you don't play sometimes. And Parkway really gets that with each album they release. Here, I feel like they went a bit too far in that direction. I feel like they went a little too far with the rest and simultaneously haven't evolved their sounds enough. Atlas feels like Deep Blue in sleep mode for me. This album marks a stark stagnation in Parkway's catalogue, and it serves as a bridge between Deep Blue and Aya, but it offers none of the highlights from either record. There's a lot here that I want to love and I do enjoy, because it's not a bad record, but it just has big flippers to fill. Really big flippers to fill. And it doesn't take the forward step that their future material is going to do. There are hints of it, but I feel like this album doesn't need to exist even in their catalogue for there to be a fluid progression and like equal stepping stones in their career. This feels like a half step. I'm very glad this record exists, but career trajectory wise, it's Deep Blue at half speed, in many ways. Like I wouldn't be upset if this album was called Wild Eyes and did 11 other middling shanties, because Wild Eyes fucking slaps. There's no doubt that. Sure. But there still is a lot of cool stuff that's presented here, and so things I really like. Dark Days is really cool as well. The River's clean tone. Now the River is fucking gorgeous. Oh my god. And that intro. Yummy. Honestly, the guitar tones in general, like the harmonics in Wild Eyes, are fucking gorgeous. There's a stark improvement in their tone choice. And Ben Gordon has this real arena approach to drumming that's present on this album. And like everything makes sense, seeing where they're going, but again, half steps.
Sure.
I'd say the one thing that's the exception to the rule is sleight of hand. I don't know if you've gotten much out of this track, but to me, this track is an absolute fucking riff factory. It's a huge sleeper pick, and as a single track, probably my favorite thing to come out of this TDF. Exploring this catalogue. I feel like, but it sort of feels like it doesn't belong on this album as well. Sort of feels like a bottom feeder demo, but it's really cool. Like it's immature, and it's really fun. But I don't think it really fits with the rest of the album.
Okay.
So there's a lot there that I really like, that I feel like it exists really nice as an album. Outside of the pacing being a bit slow. Yeah, sure. But in the context of their discography, it sits really strange.
Yeah, sure. I feel like I kind of agree with you in that it sits quite strangely. I think it feels like they're not necessarily going through like an identity crisis, but a direction crisis. It feels like Deep Blue was their opus in terms of what they wanted to achieve with that. The metalcore sound that they'd been kind of running with up until that point. They kind of stripped it back, and it feels like here they didn't really know where they wanted to go with it. So they kind of went a bunch of different places, and it makes for a kind of mixed bag of an album. I do rate the first 5 tracks of this album enough to sit at a B, and I appreciate the experimentation on offer enough to rank it higher than a C.
Interesting.
And I feel like you can see the makings of the more grandiose kind of elements that they would bring in on Aya and really capitalize on, really make good on in Reverence. Yeah. It feels like from here to their latest effort, it's a lot of baby steps. But I feel like this is a step forward. I don't think it's a step backwards. I wish it could have been a clean trajectory from Deep Blue to Aya, but I feel like this is a necessary side step. It's a diagonal step.
It's not easy to transition from metalcore to AOR.
What's AOR? Sorry,
like arena-oriented rock.
Right? Yes.
And this has that sort of arena-oriented rock drum work.
Yeah. Here they're dipping their toes in at the production. Kind of what I appreciate about the production on Deep Blue. Is everything has this kind of human quality, especially in the drums. It's not this clicky-clacky kick. It's very deep and boomy, and it feels human. It feels like you're in the room with them as they're playing, and it sounds dark and appropriate. Again, it feels like you're in the world of that cover. And on this, the production feels kind of larger than life. And I feel like this is where, from here on out, it feels like a lot of their music or a lot of their tracks have this quality that it makes them music to slay a god to. Like that's what it puts in my head. And
it's pretty
like
huge.
Atlas as a title, as a kind of
okay.
idea,
I like that take. I really like that take.
I really fucking dig it, and I feel like it is necessary.
Okay,
like,
you're turning me.
It's not graceful. It's by no means perfect. I think some of the ideas don't necessarily pay off. I can't remember which track it is. Might be the Slow Surrender. Might be Atlas. But it has like a...
Atlas is I feel it's very weak for a title track.
Whichever one has the DJ scratches on
in the vocals?
Yeah. It's kind of like every time I hear it, I go, ooh, swing and a miss for my tastes. But hey,
mine as well.
Points for trying. It's the Pixar thing. It's the Pixar thing. I really like these are likable dudes, and I admire them for trying and failing. Like I admire them more for trying and maybe not working out than I would if they rested on their laurels. And I don't think they rest on their laurels on this album.
They do go big in terms of touring here as well. I believe is it Pig that is that rhythm guitarist that has in topical fashion has a surfing incident and is stuck in a wheelchair for this entire world tour cycle.
Oh my god!
And they take this dude on a wheelchair around the world, and he does the whole tour in a wheelchair. And it's a part of the show. It's like it's one of those sort of I don't know, like iconic Australian like ockisms.
Yeah, sure.
You go, oh yeah, that's pig. Yeah, it's very cute. It's very cute. That I like can feel a bit of patriotism for, which I don't feel very often.
Yeah, and there's you mentioned Dark Days as being a cool track. Wild Eyes, absolutely agree. I mean, Wild Eyes is still is a live staple for them.
I hard disagree on the first three tracks being a high part of the album, though.
Really?
Yeah.
I really like Sparks as an intro, and going into Old Ghosts, New Regrets. There's something about that transition that I really enjoy. And Dream Run, I will say, feels like this is where it feels like they're confused as to what they're doing, because that just sounds like Sleepwalker, 2.0. It doesn't really do anything new, but
I feel like a lot of this album does 2.0 or 0.5 to come.
Yeah, sure.
Which is fine. That's natural progression. Of exploring.
I think this album, for me, it feels like they're indicating that they have loftier ambitions than just being a metalcore band, and I think that's really admirable, and that's partially why I look upon it quite fondly.
Yeah.
And I will also say, track 7, Swing, fucking swings for the fences, dude. That track is sick. Oh my god.
It's
this song was what is it? This song was born for battle. My heart was built for war, or whatever the fucking lyric is. It's so tough, dude.
It's what the first, just like Wild Eyes, Dark Days, and The River, being 3 mid-tempo songs back to back. Just by the time Swing comes in, I'm just going, about time. Even though I really enjoy all those songs, I think they're a bunch of the best songs on the album. Just the pacing, feels off.
Sure.
And by the time Swing comes in, I'm like, it feels a bit late.
Yeah.
I just wish they would play with the pacing.
Yeah.
But that's not a horrible criticism of an album.
No. Let's have a look at what chat thinks. I want to have a cheeky gander here. Rid says, that's exactly why I love the Karma vid. They're a bunch of cunts having good fun. Atlas is probably the album I know the least of their work, because I felt like it just felt like it wasn't needed. Yeah, what Luke said.
Yeah. It's like, if I had to cull one album, it's going to be this 10 out of 10 times. I don't think I could take anything else out of their discography, unfortunately.
Fair enough.
Good thing I don't have to.
Yeah. Good thing no one's asking you to. Rid says, interesting in response to my comments. Maybe I need to check this one out. I would say check it out. I don't think, like, if you haven't already checked it out, like, if you just had an inkling that maybe it's not worth a listen, I would say give it a listen. Because I think there's plenty of... Well, there's enough good shit on here to warrant a listen, and I think as a indicator of what's to come, to look at it and go like, oh, these guys were starting to play with kind of grander ideas and in terms of like what they had at their disposal, like having the female vocals, having some kind of orchestral sounding elements and stuff like that, strings and whatnot. I think it's really cool. Music to Slay a God To is Parkway's entire discography IMO. I feel like it doesn't really...
It doesn't have that epic...
It doesn't have that hammer fist grandeur until this album. I feel like it's there in its infancy on Deep Blue for sure, especially on Leviathan Eye. Fuck me dead. But here I feel like it's kind of... it feels like this is them... They're in the ship. This is them kind of correcting their course, and then we're off from here.
Yeah.
Dexys, did someone say Slay a God? Oh my God. This says, what exactly is the Pixar effect? So Pixar have a list of rules that they like to adhere to, storytelling rules, and one of them is that we admire our protagonists more for trying trying and failing than for not trying at all.
Yeah.
So a way to like look at building, conflict or things within your story is to, build a likable protagonist that fucks up,
Yeah.
And the fact that they try is admirable, and I feel that. I mean, yes, it's a story writing principle in the way that they apply it, but I think it's something that's, and a lot of their story rules are applicable to life in general.
You can extrapolate.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel that very much with this album, and with lots of albums like it. Brian says every band should have that lofty ambition. No band should settle for metalcore.
Can we get Brian in instead of me? I feel like you're nailing this.
I want Brian to just give his rankings. I think I needed to listen to it as a separate thing, Rid says, not as the album after.
Absolutely.
This definitely has In Waves syndrome. We've talked about this before, but In Waves followed Shogun, Trivium's definitive masterpiece, and made In Waves hard to follow, or hard to listen to as a follow-up. Swallow, exactly.
Yeah, I've spun Atlas... spun Atlas on the road, like mid road trip. Awesome road trip music, and this as a separate piece is wonderful. It's fortunately we're rated in terms of the discography, and all of its flaws, or most of its flaws, are discography centric.
Yeah, sure.
So something's got to take the fall when we're putting everything against each other.
Absolutely. Brandon says, I completely agree with the B rating. I like Luke's analogy about the album, though. It's pretty correct in my opinion. Yeah, you were really swaying me, but I was like, I've already made the PowerPoint at this point. But I still feel this sits at a B, again, for my personal enjoyment. And Brian says, my rankings are on OnlyFans for this one. Nothing but D, baby. Oh, yes. They asked for a D and they were received. All right. Hey, shall we move on?
Let's.
Hiya, baby.
I'm about to give this one a D. No. All right.
I got some thoughts on this one.
So I find that Aya is a very odd name for this record, considering how meticulously composed and carefully contained all of these songs are. The Anger title might not make sense, but ranking it a big fat A sure does.
Nice.
It's a damn nice album, and this tier list is starting to look pretty top-loaded. Maybe more top-loaded than anything I've ranked before. Surprisingly, I was not expecting that. So, Parkway Drive approach a composition and sound design from a completely new angle for this record. They don't approach these as metal songs, but as I guess soundscapes almost, and the mix is built for the song. It's sort of hard for me to put into words. Something similar that I get it from like Trivium's Silence in the Snow, where you feel the songs were built with full intent of what the mix was going to be.
Yeah, with the production in mind.
Yeah. and I think it's very well realized.
Yeah.
From what I recall, I still was sort of out on Parkway Drive at this point in time, but Aya did excite me because I saw how much how torn the fan base was on this record, and I thought that was exciting because I'm like, sick. They're not rehashing their glory days, and they're always moving forward. Whether for like better or worse, those old metalcore records are going to be there. It's cool to hear them shed their skin and move on with it. And they move in the exact direction they need to set themselves up as one of the biggest metal bands in the world right now.
Yeah.
And I think it happens here. This is the biggest foundation that they can for propelling themselves truly onto a headline global stage. It's a remarkable record to release on the back of Atlas. Still makes a lot of sense from Atlas. I don't know. I was trying to figure out if it would make sense from Deep Blue straight into this, and that might actually be a little weird. I don't know. But yeah, I really respect their approach on this record. It is an album, very much an album of singles done right. Where a lot of other albums that'll have like a single feel all the way through can fail, because I think it's very easy to. There's something about this album that everything feels so marketable but still cohesive and really dynamic, in both in range and the scope of what they do. Yeah. Everything's so anthemic, it's so catchy, it's very marketable but hard.
I'd say marketable but without feeling compromised.
Yeah. It doesn't lose its integrity.
Yeah.
It retains a pretty mature approach. It's very self-contained. It's saying these things feel almost as if I'm doing PR for them, to be honest. But
worst PR ever, 6 years late. Check out Aya, man, out now.
We called it running on Luke time. This album again has a bit of an X factor for me, and it resonates with me as a writer as well. And it's so melody driven. It's everything. Everything is hooky. Not just the melodies. The rhythms are hooky. The vocals are hooky. Everything about this makes me want more.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, Connor?
I share your sentiments, dude. I chuck this at an A as well. I feel like this, after Atlas, was them kind of changing course or kind of going... It feels like them really going, okay, we've done everything we can with this metalcore, what metalcore was. What do we want to be now? And this feels like them making a concerted effort to become the band that they are in 2021. It starts here, like you said. The leaning into just big arena-ready choruses, anthems, but again, not feeling compromised or disingenuous. It feels really genuine. It feels like this is the album that they wanted to make, despite what the fans would say. And I think the fan response of people going, oh no, fuck this,
sold out.
But
like, and it's fucking sick.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
it's like, there's the door, bitch. Cry me a fucking river, bitch. I think Crushed is fucking awesome. I love Winston. He has this in his lyrics. There's like a sense of poetry and a theatricality in the words, and here it feels like he's starting to play with that in his delivery, and I really fucking love that. Crushed is awesome. Writings on the Wall is a little bit what's the word I'm looking for here? I can't think of I'm going to say preachy. I don't know. I don't mean that he's preaching anything in particular. It just has this it's got this stomp clap kind of thing. It sounds kind of larger than life, and in a way that I don't quite buy on this album. I think it's something that going forward they managed to do really well.
I feel like they redo Writing on the Wall.
Yes.
Reverence.
Yes.
They revisit that idea.
I think they revisit a lot of the ideas on here. I feel like there are still some things on this album. As much as I like this album, and I think it's 11 really, really solid tracks, I think Vicious, Sound of Violence, and Fractures I like Sound of Violence, but Vicious and Fractures feel like maybe they're kind of they're holding on to a little bit of what that old fan base might prefer.
I agree with that.
And I think those are two tracks that this album could do without.
Yeah, I agree.
This feels like a half measure in terms of what they really want to be doing. But it's a very, very good step forward. It's a really good concerted effort to become this fucking world power band.
Yeah, I'm just doing the math. Would leave Ira at 39 minutes, which Come With a Smile, I think, was 38 minutes. So
nothing wrong with that, baby.
The Ira is their longest record.
Yeah.
At 48. So, I mean, they could kill it. Like, I'm in agreement of Fractures and Vicious being two of the weakest records.
Yeah.
Songs on the record. The weakest is Dedicated. Fuck Dedicated, dude.
Really?
Fuck Dedicated. I can't believe they played Dedicated at Wacken.
I like Dedicated, dude.
No, it's the Dude Bro thing, but it's their worst Dude Bro yet.
See,
I think it really lets the album down.
That has the biggest kind of Hatebreed
it does. It really does.
I'm a big Hatebreed fan.
I feel like they don't sell it.
I dig it.
They're not tough. They're fun. They're cool. They're surfer dudes.
Yeah,
they're not
sure.
Hatebreed, man.
Yeah,
it doesn't. I don't buy it. I don't buy
Hatebreed
it.
are from fucking. Where are they from? Are they from Detroit or something? Like it's they wear it. It's appropriate. It's in their blood. Whereas
I don't buy Dedicated.
Fun-loving guys. Yeah. Okay. No,
I don't think they sell it.
That's fair. That's a fair criticism. Or I can see where that criticism's coming from. I still rate the track.
Yeah, it feels like out of all the things on this album that could be pretentious, like Writings on the Wall.
Yeah.
I feel like Dedicated.
Pretentious. Sorry,
thing.
that's the word I'm looking for. Pretentious.
I didn't want to throw.
Sorry. Can't believe I couldn't.
No.
I can't believe after
I didn't want to write on your wall.
After being subjected to Muse's entire discography, I couldn't recall the word pretentious.
It's because you ran out of uses for it. Dude.
Yeah, I ran
your
out.
Free trial
ran out of pretense. Yeah, my pretense free trial ran out. But again, it's the same thing as Atlas. Like Writings on the Wall, I'm like, But the first time I heard it, my ears pricked up. I was like, this is fucking different. This is new. Same with Crushed. Crushed has this kind of like tribal chest beating by way of Rage Against the Machine kind of quality.
God of War.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like Destroyer from the start. That fucking Destroy chant is huge.
That's okay. It's a weak start.
Oh, dude, I really like it. I really like it.
As always, Destroy and Dying.
Dude, I really like Dying to Believe. Especially the kind of Dying to Believe being the fastest track on the album. I think. I really rate it.
Yeah, I feel like they're once again just retaining fans by the second slot. It might be similar to Black Dahlia Murder.
Listen to this. That's the phrasing he uses in this. The kind of rhythm that he spits this verse with. I find really fucking interesting and exciting. Like it really gets me going.
Feels death clocky.
Like that shit. Really gets me.
It might be a bit like Black Dahlia Murder in that they put their fastest and heaviest songs at the start to make sure to let everyone know that they're still a heavy band. Then they're like, this is what we want to do.
Yeah. Maybe.
I don't know.
Well, let's have a look at chat. I want to see what chat says. Was this produced by their sound guy? Adam says. Says, this was produced by their sound guy. Yeah, I'm not sure. Brian says, tune sold out, sponsored content. Yeah. I love Crushed so much, Havoc says. Fuck yeah, dude. Did you guys listen to the normal or deluxe edition? We always go the normal editions for these segments, for these reviews.
Yeah.
I honestly haven't checked out the deluxe edition of Aya. I didn't need more Aya.
I didn't want to hear it so I wouldn't be swayed.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to it during this for this segment.
I do recall hearing Devil's Calling and thinking it was okay, and the Deathless song with Jenna McDougal, Dougal? Doesn't matter. Was pretty cool as well. But I didn't really need more from this album. I felt like the 48 minutes that it goes on for is long enough. It's funny. And again, I really had the sense... are you ready to move on to the next album, by the way? Because I want to say, I really had the sense with this album, in particular with Aya, that this was a half measure, that greater things were to come. And I feel like I was right with the follow-up. Reverence.
Yeah, baby.
Let's fucking do it, dude.
Reverence. We're hitting. Do I want to say yet? Do we have to? I don't think we need to amp up Reverence anymore because this shit is S for selling out stadiums. Big boy hours. This is the reason they're one of the biggest bands in the world right now for metal. They headline fucking off this shit. Holy fuck! Imagine they grow up so fast. Man. Oh, it brings a tears to the eye. Seeing these guys hump, like, not for myself, I'm sure there were many others that were following them from their first album. For me, it was from their second, but still feel like it was their infancy to see them just playing, under 18 shows on tours to exploding. And to see how much sense it all makes.
Yes.
And everything's so measured but uncompromised. And this album goes, it's a triple threat. With any release, I'd say, like, pick two of variants, of, like, heaviness, the catchiness, to have broad appeal or mass appeal, to hold your own dignity in your music, and for it to be so varied. I don't think you can really hit all three very often, and this album does. It's uncompromising, it's so broad, and it has mass appeal. It's hard to do. It's really hard to do, and I don't see it often. It's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
There are very few tracks on here that, if I don't really like or listen to, I still respect the fuck out of them for being gutsy enough to take the risks and still make it cohesive in a record.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's remarkable. It's remarkable. And for them to be taking these risks in their tracks at this point in their career and turn them into anthems. What the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I can't wait to see where they go from here. But also, I'm not that fussed if they play it more dangerous or more safe from here, because this album already exists, and that's so fucking exciting.
Yeah.
Highlights here for me, they finally embraced the sea. And they finally did a fucking pirate metal song with Prey. Can't believe it took him six albums of ocean metal to do a pirate song. And yet here we are. And if Mutiny doesn't count, of course.
Dude, fucking Ailstorm must have been pissed.
They
woke up and they're like, some cunts in Australia have written the best pirate metal song ever.
And it wasn't Lagerstein. What the fuck? Yeah. Damn cool. Big boy one. Absolute Power, so tough. The Void is basically Prey 2. So it's very welcome. Shadowboxing, I thought I really liked, but it's actually Kronos that did the Shadowboxing, I thought.
Right, okay.
I fucking love Kronos. It's so tough.
Yeah.
The final track of the album, I could do without, but I respect their effort.
Yeah.
And that's okay, it's the final track, so I can move on.
Yeah, it's more or less an outro.
Yeah. So I'm not going to sit there and watch the credits all the time.
yeah, totally. Yeah. Dude, I'm right there with you. This album,
right? Wow,
S for Sublime.
You finally got an S.
It feels like everything in this catalog has been building up to this.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely since Deep Blue. Deep Blue, I think you can feel the rumblings of this. Atlas is them kind of finding their feet and go and making. It feels like them again. Struggling for a direction, and then Aya is them going, no, this is what we want to do, but feels like a little bit of a half measure, and then this feels like it's fully realized, where Aya feels like a bit of a half measure. This feels so sure-handed and confident and fucking powerful, dude.
Uncompromising.
This is music to kill a god to. Wishing Wells, Tonight I'm Killing Gods. Fucking A, dude.
Yeah.
It grabs you by the fucking scruff.
This is a cool album start. Yeah.
Amazing album start. Prey is excellent.
It's just full of risks. Risky.
It's full of risks, but like you said, it has such a broad appeal.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that this was the first single they put out off the album, it still has, even though it's this grand album opener, it still has a mass appeal. Prey, Absolute Power, and Void have the massive like single appeal, but a heavy in different ways, groove in different ways, do different things. Absolute Power feels like they've consolidated the best parts of Writings on the Wall and just done what they did best in that song. They've gone, fuck it, fuck everything else, we're doing that. I really fucking love Cemetery Bloom as an interlude into The Void. It's quite a long interlude, but I really, really I love just absorbing all of it. The build up, the finally it building up and exploding into the void, really fucking gets me going. I hope you're right. Them bringing those kind of choir elements though.
Yeah, where they're taking. You're hearing all these strings through songs up to this point, and you're like, whoa, that's new. Being incorporated as main instruments, really. Instead of passive elements, they're coming into the fold as separate strong identifiers of a track. And they kick up with the choir. That's really, really impressive.
Shadowboxing, Shadowboxing is noteworthy for being the first track where you really get to hear Winston singing cleanly. It's not his harsh stuff is absolutely stronger at this point. But it's really cool to hear him dabbling in that, and again that theatricality that was kind of teased on Ire and has kind of been slowly coming out on each album since I'd say Deep Blue is here in full force, dude. Watching him perform this stuff, the passion and the grandeur that he exudes on stage is so infectious and so fucking powerful, and it really, really pulls you along for the ride. I love how much he's experimenting with his delivery and with his phrasing, and I guess how hard he hits certain syllables and stuff. It's just really fucking cool. In Blood, I think, is the only track on here that's a little bit forgettable. But whenever I'm listening to it, I'm like, oh, this is that one. Oh, yeah, no, this is cool. And I enjoy it while it's on. And then Chronos comes out, and it's this big swinging dick of a final song, dude. To the point where the pre-chorus is I got the whole world swinging on the end of a chain, and I'm calling that fucking
it's nuts.
You answered of me. I'm just like, this is Hatebreed with the fucking world in its hand, screaming at it. It's so tough. It's
huge.
Gargantuan. I fucking love this album. And then The Color of Leaving, I think, is a great... It kind of serves a similar purpose to an end credits to this album, and I think it's great. I think the album being kind of bookended by these almost spoken word kind of passages from Winston feels really cohesive, and it just feels like in terms of... It feels like a work of art that is also capable of reaching so many people and having such a broad appeal and propelling them to the stratospheres of heavy metal superstardom. And it's fucking awesome, and it's amazing getting to see. I saw them play their Reverence, I guess, tour show at Good Things, headlining a festival in their own country, and you could feel the gratitude emanating from them on stage, especially from Winston, and you bought it. They seem like such genuine dudes, and I love that they're enjoying this success. And it's honestly like man, watching the docos and stuff, it's hard not to get kind of emotional thinking about the fact that these are dudes from your country who have... what other Australian bands have headlined Varkan? I might be...
I thought they may have been the
bunch,
first.
But what else have they got?
I believe in that year, 3 of the top 4 bands were Australian.
No shit.
If I'm recalling...
I'm sure... I know Airborne's done quite well.
There was Airborne, Rose Tattoo, and Parkway were 3 of the top 4.
Wow.
Germany loves Australian rock.
Still though, headline and slot.
But I think they may have been the first Australian headliner.
I would say too, in terms of...
Correct me if I'm wrong.
We talked about this bit with Slipknot. Modern bands that have come kind of around the turn of the century or after, that are at the level of a Metallica. Arena selling out bands. Feels like in recent times we've got Slipknot. They've been around for a while at this point. In recent years, I'd say Ghost is well on their way, and Parkway Drive.
Well, I feel Ghost and Parkway do have a similar sort of trajectory at the moment. However, something that is very different is Ghost is surrounded by this mysticism. Whereas in their they both Parkway and Ghost have this certain bravado, but one is surrounded by this mysticism which serves the grandeur. But Parkway do that without the mystery, and it feels like it should be so key to the scale of what they're performing.
Yeah.
But their approach is to be very very down to earth, very real.
Yeah.
They're not putting on characters. They're just guys belting out their hearts, you know?
Yeah.
I don't see many bands that can sort of get away with this larger soundscape whilst maintaining a casual lifestyle outside of touring.
I think you can hear in the music and I mean in the artwork and the presentation of these songs live. They might be just, dudes from Byron Bay kind of.
But they're working their fucking cunts off.
Fucking serious about the work side of this and about the art side of this. Yeah. It's art and craft really locking in and paying off dividends.
Yeah.
And it's fucking awesome to see. So yeah, I would say this is their magnum opus. And I am really excited to see what comes next.
Yeah.
I don't know how you fucking follow this up, because this, again, feels like such a definitive, this is the thing we wanted to produce.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear I'm curious to hear what they want to produce next.
Well, what do you think they'll do? If you were to Nostradamus?
No, I really have no idea, but I feel like whatever they do, it will be exactly what they want to do. I don't think they're going to bow to any pressure to produce something that isn't them.
I'd be surprised. I'd be pleasantly surprised if they can maintain their current trajectory. I'm struggling to see how they can get bigger than where they are right now. Which is, I don't like just my thoughts and feelings here.
Is there anything you're hoping based on this? Like anything you're hoping to hear more of? I'm really hoping to hear more of the Wishing Wells, more Cemetery Bloom, more Kronos.
What I'd like to hear is a love letter to their entire catalog next.
Ooh, that would be cool.
So to go back to some really old school stuff, to blend their whole catalog into one record,
something
would be what I personally like.
Sure.
Because Horizons is my favorite album. Reverence is their best album, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
Just because I think it's their best release doesn't mean I like it the most.
Yeah, sure.
I feel like that would be. The thing is, they've outgrown metalcore, so there's no reason for them to go back to it, and it would probably hurt them to do so. But I'd like that.
I think.
I don't think it would be great for their career.
You want like a Dewey Cox finale, like summary of their entire career up to this point.
Yeah,
Winston's got to think about his whole life. Please.
Yeah, and I don't want it to happen for their career, just for my own selfish reasons.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Shall we have a look at what chat thinks?
Absolutely.
Havoc says, if Connor puts Reverence where I have, our tier lists are exactly the same. Where did you put? Where did you put it?
Wow.
Iron Reverence was produced by their sound guy. That's probably why they wrote it with the mix in mind, like Luke was talking about. Oh, cool. That's very cool.
Yeah,
Wishing Wells is such an amazing both album and concert opener. Yeah, the whole walking through the crowd thing. Really cool. Really cool. And when he gets up there and starts doing the I spoke a vow today, I'm just like, oh, baby.
Yeah. It's clear that this album was written with a live show in mind.
Yeah.
Like going beyond the mix with the songs in mind, this is taking it to the next level. Like I'm sure they're plotting out their tour set list and pacing their set list when writing this album.
Yeah.
Which is just next level. But that's what it felt like seeing this tour set.
Yeah. Adam says AC/DC. Well, I think that's where we've got AC/DC, we've got Airborne, but
have AC/DC headlines?
That's
they may have.
I'm just thinking in terms of bands that have been successful on a global scale. AC/DC, Airborne, but they're both. That's just more AC/DC. Like it's more of that kind of like rock and roll, dirty kind of thing. This is metal, dude. This is big modern metal. This is pushing heavy metal and modern heavy metal forward.
Yeah,
like the fact that people from our country are playing a role in that, that's fucking huge.
And they do Big Byron Bay movie.
And they do Big Byron Bay movie. The Big Byron Bay movie is fucking sick, by the way.
Why did they call it Big Byron Bay movie?
Why didn't they call it Parkway Drive's Big Byron Bay movie?
Oh, God.
Big Byron Bay movie
bash.
film.
Yeah.
The Living End do well in Germany too, Luke says. Cool.
Good one.
Brian says, turns out being good can be your gimmick if you're good. That's the trick. It's that...
we're working on it, okay?
It's that Garth Marenghi thing where he's like, I just hit the keys. Getting them in the right order. That's the trick. These guys get the keys in the right order, dude. Brandon says it feels hard to imagine them getting bigger or doing something that's a stronger album than this. Can confirm that my tier list and Eggs are exactly the same.
Nice. All right. Well, that's one vote for Egg.
AC/DC got their own stage at Download in 2010. 2010. Nobody else played on it. Wow. Fucking hell.
All right, pull that one.
They got the whole stage swinging from the end of a chain. Alternate reality where the band is called Ramsey Street and Neighbours is set on Parkway Drive.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah. I want to throw down to Ramsey Street. Big Byron Bay movie sounds like a Betty's Burger. Well, hit us up, Betty.
Yeah, please.
Betty, I know you have our number. I know you've been getting our email.
We in the DMs.
All right. Let's get a poll going and see what people think. I want to see who takes this one. Because I'm looking at
Will
this
it be
belt.
egg or
I'm
sauce?
looking at this belt here, and I'm nervous.
Oh, It's still warm, Connor. It's still warm to the touch.
Because this room is so muggy.
If only we had a fan, an oscillating
we can't
fan.
turn it on until we're done with this segment. God damn it! All right, let's start the poll. Chat, get your votes in. Thank you very much for hanging out with us and watching and for sharing your thoughts on Parkway Drive.
Thank you. Really,
anybody in chat
so much for the
who
involvement.
hasn't listened to Parkway before, has hearing us fucking vent our spleens about it.
Made you want to check out any of the albums?
At all?
Or,
yeah. Do you think you'll give these guys a go? Have you heard anything tonight that has taken your fancy? Again, dude, this Chrono shit. Oh. And it feels like just on that note, on the note of this album, while the poll's ticking away. That less is more stuff that we talked about or that I mentioned, it feels like they were starting to consolidate their writing efforts in Deep Blue and pulling things back just a little bit to for the better. Here it's perfect.
They keep pulling back. They do Aya, and then they platform off Aya, and then Aya's this trampoline. They're just all that less is more.
Yeah,
they invade Malmsteen.
Yeah, more is more. In terms of like the drum playing and stuff, it feels like the drummer knows exactly when to.
Yeah, every beat matters.
That's to pull out the chops. Yeah. It's a beautiful, just like 4/4. Hi-hat and snare beat when it needs to be, and then busts out some really lovely...
I feel like it happens in Aya as well. Yeah. Everything feels calculated.
I shall give it a go, says Geordie. Excellent.
Nothing was jammed in these last two albums. Designed.
Yeah, totally. Adam says, I'm very excited to see them in July. I also have tickets for that. I'm hoping I get to see them because
who are these
me
supports?
dead. Hatebreed, bro.
Yeah, dude.
Fucking Hatebreed, baby.
There you go. You'll get your dedicated.
I'll get my dedicated. Even if not from them, I'll get enough of that from Hatebreed. Don't you worry.
I wonder if he changes how many years he's been doing this for when he performs it live.
I don't think they do.
Oh, yeah. Winston, one job, dude.
Syllables, dude. You can't go like 13 years. No, it sounds dodgy. It sounds daggy.
Oh,
12 years up.
Maybe you shouldn't date your song. Oh.
Don't date the fans. Don't date your song.
Definitely don't date the fans.
Especially not in metalcore, for fuck's sake.
Jesus Christ. Oh no.
All right, that poll is coming to a close almost. Not a moment too soon because we're into the dicey material.
Beautiful. All right, tonight we're killing cons.
Tonight we're cancelling God. I really had a ball coming back to this album, and this was my dessert, and I so badly wanted to eat my dessert before my dinner. I like doing that. We try to do going through things chronologically.
Yeah, I did.
And I managed, but fuck, it was hard, man.
You'll see there on the panic button.
Getting to this album was glorious.
A real treat.
A real treat.
Good one.
Yeah, the biggest.
Yeah.
All right, let's have a look.
So much of the enjoyment from TDF for me. What we got?
Has a perpetual countdown to cancel a buffer team. Basically, I take it by
You got it, baby! Nice!
One vote.
All right, keep it lukewarm for me, Cons. I'm coming next week.
No, you're not, motherfucker. I'll tell you why.
Oh, why? Why, Cons? Why?
Ask me.
Why? What are we doing next week,
Yeah,
Cons?
ask me what we're doing next week, bro.
I already did.
Do it again.
Oh, shit.
Just ask me. Ask me. I got a bit playing. Come on, you're stale in the. You're making it
Okay.
This bit's fresh.
3. What are we doing next week, Cons?
Well, wait, let me try that again. Oh! We're doing Rob Zombie.
Okay, there it is.
We're doing Rob Zombie, dude. I want to hit up Rob Zombie. He has a brand spanking new album out as of last Friday, the Friday just gone. So at time of recording, that thing will be out for like a week and a half, 10 days. And I'm excited to hit it real quick. I'm a big Rob Zombie fan, and this latest album I got some thoughts on, and I'm excited
Beautiful.
to share with
all right.
you all.
This is going to be exciting because I know nil Zomb.
Really?
Outside of
the club.
You know what?
bangers?
I couldn't even tell you if it was Rob Zombie or White Zombie. Is the of these bangers.
Okay.
So
well, 7
I
albums.
feel like the stuff I know might even be White Zombie.
Well,
So this is going to be all new for me.
We'll
Good
be
one.
hitting up, and I'll double check that. I'm certain that's 7 albums by Rob Zombie. Let's have a look. We will be hitting Hellbilly Deluxe, The Sinister Urge, Educated Horses, Hellbilly Deluxe 2, Venomous Rat Regeneration Vendor, The Electric Warlock Acid Witch Satanic Orgy Celebration Dispenser, and his latest effort, The Lunar Injection Kool-Aid Eclipse Conspiracy.
Yep, that's 7.
That's 7, baby. And that's a lot of fucking words, and we will discuss that at length next week.
Will we start working on acronyms now, or
No.
Oh god.
No, we're reading the entire title every time. Chat, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone, thanks so much for watching if you're watching the VOD, and we will see you next week for some Rob Zombie goodness.
Stay tuned.
Later.
Thank you. Mwah.